smoked marijuana. And all the musicians, and by the way, a little test I like to do to people, think of yourself, you're on a deserted island, you have to choose your CD collection or your MP3 collection, as more young people might relate to that, or in the case of some really old people, your 78 record collection, whatever. But in any case, think of that if you had to choose between those that were produced by people who smoked pot and those who were produced by people who didn't smoke pot. Now just remember, every black musician is automatically in the smoke pot section, right? You've got every reggae artist, I don't think anyone can dispute that, every blues artist, every jazz artist, right? Most rock and rollers, and certainly any of any quality, like Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Rolling Stones, they're all in there talking, they're all in the pot section. But then don't even stop there. People say, oh, I used to say, well, then all you got left is some Christian music and country music. But then I thought, hey, Toby Keith has got a song called Weed with Willie. And then there's Willie Nelson. And then there's all these other guys. There's the Hank Williams Jr., Hank Williams III. These people all smoke pot. So most of your country collection is also on that side now, right? So what do you got left? You got some classical music. By the way, I've smoked with a lot of classical music proteges at various speeches I've given, so they're smoking too. So my point being is that most major musical forms are totally utterly influenced by cannabis. Most movies today are, most authors today are, most people who are great in television writing or comedy are pot smokers. Most people who have developed things in the computer world, from software programming to operating systems, are pot people. Let's face it, it's really after us, they're just assholes. There are. The people who don't smoke pot are not as good as us, and I'll tell you why. No, they're not, but that's why we're hated. Believe me, if we were really drug-addicted fools that were worth society's contempt, nobody would care about us. Look at all the homeless people in your town. Nobody gives a shit about them. If we were them, nobody would pay attention to us if we smoked pot. But we're not them. We're the creators and producers of everything that's great in our society today. Without us, the world would fall apart like so fucking fast. I'm not kidding you. Can you imagine no Led Zeppelin? Can you imagine no Beatles? Can you imagine without the Rolling Stones? Can you imagine every major black artist eliminated from your record pantheon? Can you imagine not working with Apple computer systems or Microsoft? Sure, you got Linux, but that guy was probably a pothead too. All right? Can you imagine not having half the films that were done by potheads? Can you imagine most stand-up comedians never existing in your life? Think of the loss it would be to you personally not to have access to all that culture. Think of how many hours, how many days you spend listening, reading, and watching the great works of the people who got inspired by cannabis. And then think about how many things you actually enjoyed doing that were done by people who did not ever smoke. There's not much in your life. There simply isn't that much. The things you listen to from music, even the technology that's delivering that, the MP3, those are all potheads. The operating system of the computer that you use to get it is by potheads, and the technology is being designed every day by potheads. And don't believe it's not. You know it's true. Just think of where everybody you know who smokes pot in your mid-20s is ending up working at. Electronic arts, video game makers, all your forms of entertainment are done by potheads. How could they not be? How could you imagine anyone doing all that without any drug influence in their body? Right? Without any extra enlightenment, without any special insight. It doesn't happen. Genius is special insight captured and made real to a large audience. That's what wisdom is. It's special insight. You only get that by special encounters in this life, and cannabis helps you connect with that. And that fundamentally is why we're hunted down like animals and dogs, because people resent us. They don't like that we're having fun. They don't like that we're sexually exuberant. They don't like that we consider ourselves enlightened. I wouldn't say so much as superior, but we are. And they hate just the fact that they know it's true. They're anal retentive and they're uptight. By the way, it gets worse. You get more anal retentive and more uptight as time goes by, because when your cannabinoid receptor withers away, you actually become more myopic. It's a process. If you watch it, if you took two people over 20 years and that person smoked pot every day and that person didn't, within 20 years that person is going to be very conservative, very rigid, very unwilling to bend or be flexible or tolerate other points of view, and the pothead's going to be totally open to whatever's going on. And it's not so much cannabis, it's preserving the cannabinoid receptor, which keeps you open-minded, keeps you broad-minded. People who start out anal retentive, and over time they get worse and worse. Very few people decide, I was wrong for 30 years, I'm changing everything. I don't know how many grandparents you know that went through that, but I didn't see it that often. Mostly they just get more into their own state of mind that they've been in for 40 years. Pot people are always willing to let new things in and watch it, see what happens. And so it's an important thing that you recognize that you're part of a really important culture that's had more impact on the world than everybody ever gives us credit. Like whatever you think about various philosophies of religion, nobody's ever gone to war over pot, which you cannot say about
US.
all the other world. There's a war against us, but we're hunted down like animals everywhere in the world. That's a worldwide war waged against us by governments everywhere who fear us in the same way that governments ought to fear us. We don't accept one book dogmas, whether it's the book of the Bible or the book of the Koran or the book of the law, which is also a one book dogma where all the answers are supposed to be there, right? You know, in like an incredible, illustrious pageant and 6 billion people, but all the answers for everybody is in one book of the law. Can you imagine? Right? All the nuances and subtleties that go in dealing with individuals as individuals are somehow all in one book. That's to be referenced like a scripture and not to be deviated from. Right? Even more so, at least scripture, you can disagree with it and not end up having your life taken away from you. But you disagree with the book of the law, and your life is someone else's for the rest of your eternity. Right? Yes?
I wanted to firstly say thank you for being you. Like, we've had 42 seconds of silence so many times, and while you were put away, and nobody really, really, really wants to stop from that 42 seconds except maybe Ted and Leo. And it's beautiful. It's like, I'm glad we took that time. I'm only going to hope for your freedom. And my one question is, I'm glad I met you. Do you see any comparisons with Tommy Chong thing and yourself?
Well, Tommy's a friend of mine. Comes by a lot. Was here this week to see us. And one thing we do like talking about is prison, because Tommy probably had his career in a lot of ways revived by going to jail. It made his street credibility like 1,000%. Up to then, you would be fair if you saw Leo on that 70s show, which I thought was a mockery of any kind of stoner. I didn't like that character. It really bothered me about that stuff. And so to me, he'd become a caricature of his 1970s thing. And I don't think his house was that good. I see him a lot, right? And I now edit his material leader at the Cannabis Culture, so I see him, talk to him a lot. And ever since he went to jail, he's been totally activated, way more alert, way more on top. He's totally conscious again. And he's smoking pot, which he wasn't doing that much before he got busted. And he's taking a real dislike to the federal government. He takes every opportunity he can to rail against them. And his new movie's coming up, by the way, next month. It's been 2 years in litigation, but A.K.A. Tommy Chong's actually out on April 20th on DVD. I think I'll be selling it for like $29.95, as cheap as we can. It's a wonderful movie, and it shows how politicized he's become, and I'd love to be able to tell more people about it, because a lot of people think he set the movement back with his movies and his comedy and stuff like that. And that might be seen as true, although I quite liked it when I saw him. But if you think he set the movement back, his new work, his new writings, his new attitude has really has activism at the core of it. And we talk about the epiphanies of being in jail all the time. I had more good things happen to me in jail in a lot of ways for 67 days than any other 67 days I would normally have, where I'd like to think I'd learn a lot. But in jail, first of all, I taught myself, hey, I can deal with this. I could actually put up with it. That's really fascinating to know that from my background, having 2 loving parents, and I've been arrested a lot, but I've never spent more than 7 days in jail. I've spent a lot of times 4 to 7 days on maybe 10 occasions, but a long stretch of time that hadn't happened to me. But when I got arrested for passing 1 joint in Saskatoon, so don't ever believe you don't go to jail for 1 joint. I passed 1 joint and got 3 months sentence, spent 67 days in jail cleaning toilets, right? Ripped away from my family and the people who love me and all my friends and everything I know. Put into this strange place in Saskatoon, and then I ended up cleaning toilets in Florida, which was very therapeutic for me. Because I will say this, when you're out here in the world, I spend most of my day reacting. Okay, Mark, there's a bill that needs paid, you react. Mark, something has to be done, react. Mark, somebody's on the phone, react. Somebody wants to interview, it's all reactive. Well, there's nothing to react to. I had a job from 8 o'clock in the morning